Hey guys, Tim the Piano Man here. I know that you may not have seen me streaming that often on YouTube anymore. This year has been crazy. On For my YouTube, we grew to about 5,000 subscribers this year so far, and it was going great. And then for some reason, I don't know why, the my reach tanked for my live YouTube streams. My reach tanked, and so I switched to TikTok. So I'm on TikTok now, doing my live streams on TikTok, and it's going great. But I wanted to hop on here because one thing that I really like about YouTube Live that TikTok does not provide is YouTube Live lets me drive and stream. YouTube Live treats me like an adult, which I guess makes sense because TikTok, it's even though there's a lot of different ages on there, it's a lot of their age group is younger adults and kids too. So it makes sense that TikTok would forbid live streaming and driving because it's not the safest thing to do. So, Mom, sorry if you're watching, but I am enjoying streaming right now. I play 60 retirement community gig shows a month. And the way that I got into this is, well, first I was playing just one gig a month, and that gig, I just got it randomly. I think it was through connections at my school at the time. This was about 15 years ago, and I got one gig. I was playing one gig a month, and I didn't know how to get gigs. I didn't know how to get gigs, and I had just sort of flown the coop. I had left my parents' house, and I was trying to make it on my own, and I got this job delivering chicken wings and pizza, and I hated it because my boss was toxic, and he would yell and scream and throw things, and it was not a good environment. It was a toxic work environment, a hostile work environment, as one of my coworkers put it. And so I decided that I wanted to get out, but I didn't know how to get out, and so I was depressed, and I was sad, and I was not really sure what I was going to do with my life. But then a buddy of mine, Jack Simon, shout out Jack Simon, createyourculture.com. Jack Simon, he said, Tim, how many gigs would you need to quit your job? And it blew my mind. It was a totally new way of looking at things. How many gigs would I need to quit my job? That's a great question. How many gigs would I need to quit my job? Well, that's answerable. You can answer that question, but you need some information first. And the first piece of information was, well, how much do these gigs usually pay? Now, I didn't know at the time, but at the time, $100 seemed like a ton of money because I was playing in bars. I was playing piano in bars till midnight for 3 or 4 hours, and I would make sometimes $30. $50 seemed like a lot to me at that time. But I was making like $30 or $40, and it was not good money. That was $10 an hour. At the time, I didn't like it. I was in school, and I would play until 3 in the morning and then have an 8 o'clock class in the morning. It was not sustainable. I was burning the candle at both ends. So it was a major move for me to get $100. So I said, okay, well, how many of these gigs do I need paying me $100 to quit my job? What are my overall monthly expenses? At the time, my expenses were so extremely low. I was still on my parents' health insurance, and I didn't have a car payment because I was blessed to be gifted a crappy working car. And my rent was like $500 a month. This was 15 years ago. So I figured, okay, bare minimum, I just need $1,000, and then I can quit my delivery job and work on this side hustle of playing piano at retirement community gigs, and I can work on it full time. I had to honk at someone because they were supposed to yield. Okay. Some people don't know how to drive, but I know how to drive. So, hey, ask me anything if you have any questions about how I play 60 retirement community gigs a month. I'm going to share my story as I drive. I'm not necessarily going to be able to see. your questions, but I'll try to look down when I can. All right. So I was depressed, and my buddy said, "Hey Tim, how many gigs do you need to quit your job? How many?" That's the key question. Hey, thanks for joining, you guys. My buddy said, "How many gigs do you need to quit your job?" And at the time, my expenses were super low, and I knew I probably wasn't going to stay at this number. But I said, if I can get 10 gigs at $100 a gig a month, then I can quit my job and focus on getting these gigs. And that's what I did. And man, it was really hard. It was really difficult. I didn't know how to do it. I had no idea. I had no sales experience. Actually, no, I think I did have a little sales experience because I was trying to train for this. Yeah, I was training. I was doing some sales training for this life insurance Ponzi scheme randomly, a life insurance Ponzi scheme, and it was pyramid scheme. Actually, it was a pyramid scheme. But anyways, so I had a little bit of experience talking to people that I didn't know, just a little bit, and I used some of that experience to talk with people that I didn't know to get gigs. I didn't really know what to say. I didn't know who to talk to. I didn't know what they needed to hear. I had no experience, but I had more time than money, and I was hungry, and I was hungry for it. So I figured, okay, well, what am I going to do here? I'm going to drive to as many retirement communities as I can and talk to as many people as I can, and that's how I did it. I figured it out. I figured it out. You can go to retirementcommunitygigs.com. By the way, I have a free blueprint, and at retirementcommunitygigs.com, I put together this gig booking process for how I book these gigs. I play about 60 a month, and y'all, it is so rewarding. It's super rewarding work. I love it. You make people happy, and you get paid well because they have budgets. They need your entertainment. If you're an entertainer, if you're a musician, if you have a class that you teach, history lectures, if you have an art class that you teach, if you play guitar, harp, saxophone, piano, solo instruments especially, and if you have a set of 50 minutes of music and a working vehicle, you can play these gigs. I know it sounds crazy, but this is what I do full time, and I make good money. I play 60 gigs a month, about, and right now, when I started out, they were paying 100, but now they're paying over $150. Some of them more, some of them $100. So I'm making good money. I'm staying busy. But what else? What else am I going to be doing with my time? I think there's dignity in doing good work that people need, that pays well, and I like that. So if you're a musician, ask me any questions that you have. But I'm going to continue with this story of how I started booking these gigs and what the actual tips and tricks are for booking gigs at retirement communities, you guys, because it's not what you think. When I first started booking these gigs, I thought that I had to put together an EPK and send out CDs of an EPK, and I didn't have any money. I didn't have any money to do that. And it seemed too risky to me because I didn't have, excuse me, by the way, I didn't have any money to invest, and I didn't know what to do as far as what to put on the CD. So what I did instead is I just drove to these places because I had more time than money and I had a little bit of gas. And even where I was living, there was a couple of retirement communities just in the general area. So I started driving to these places and talking with as many people as possible. I learned that the person that you need to talk to is an activities director. That's whose duty and whose job it is to book these gigs at retirement communities. That's whose job it is. It is literally someone's job to book these gigs. So that's who you talk to, an activities director. Sometimes, by the way, hey, thanks for joining. Hi, Terry. Can't read that. I'm driving. I can't read your name. I'm sorry. I got a glare. But thanks for saying hi. That's who I learned I needed to talk to at retirement communities to book gigs. So I started lifestyle director, lifestyle enhancement director, lifestyle enhancement coordinator. So, but their responsibility is steer the conversation in the direction that would play music at retirementcommunitygigs.com. It's totally free, you guys. I'm not selling anything right now. I just want to get the word out that this is a thing. So the catch is that soon I'm going to be selling my coaching, because I know there's a lot of people that do really well doing this, but there's just some shortcuts that I can offer. Anyways, here's another tip that I learned. If you're a piano player, go during lunch or dinner. The reason that you go during, well, lunch especially, because sometimes by dinner the activities directors are gone. Sometimes they're out the door by 3:30 or 4. In fact, I would say that 90% of the activities directors go home by 5 o'clock. It's a 9 to 5 or an 8 to 4 to kind of job. So dinner is not the best for this strategy I'm about to share with you. But lunch is great for this strategy. What you do is you ask the activities director if you can talk with them when you drop in this drop-in method. You say, hey, you introduce yourself. Say, hey, here's my spiel. My name's Tim. I play piano at Retirement Communities. And then, we chit-chat a little bit. And I ask, oh, do you guys have a piano? And then they'll either say yeah or no. If they don't, then you can't use the strategy. But if they do, then you say, oh, cool. Is it in tune? Because not, and usually they don't know if it's in tune or if it's out of tune. But either way, regardless of what they answer, what you say next, you say, oh, do you think I could test it out? And that's exciting. So it's just a fun thing to do, to go play this random piano that you may have never played before. And then you chit chat with the activities director. You ask them like how many beds there are and like how often they hire musicians, that kind of thing. Usually they will hire musicians. And so when you ask them how often they hire musicians or entertainment, then that gets them thinking, oh, well, here's just another situation where I'm going to hire a musician, if they're good enough. So then you do an instant audition. The instant audition that I do at Retirement Communities is usually I'll play the Maple Leaf Rag during lunch. And the Maple Leaf Rag is really good because it showcases your talent, and it's a little showy. Now, usually, if you're playing a full gig, here's a kicker. If you're playing a full gig, being showy during lunchtime is a bad move at the beginning. You start out slow, you start out low. That's how I keep my lunchtime gigs. I love my lunchtime gigs because they're connecting gigs. They're relaxing. I get to play relaxing music. It's not as hard on the body. I'm not banging away. And so when I'm playing a full gig at lunchtime, I start low, and then only when they start clapping, after they've had their meal, after their forks are out of their hands, after their conversations get boring, only then will I be a little more flashy. But when I'm doing the instant audition, I will play the Maple Leaf Rag. Now, my business is such where I don't need to do this anymore because I have reoccurring gigs now. These places book me every month. I have reoccurring gigs, and furthermore, what's really cool is that I do all my gig booking over the phone. So I don't even use the drop-in method anymore. But if I was starting out and I didn't know what else to do, that's what I would do. And if I had more time than money, that's what I would drive around until I visited all of the retirement communities, memory cares, health and rehabs, independent livings, assisted livings, and skilled nursings in my area. That's what I would do. I would make a list on a Google search and drive around until I had visited all of them. I would get a magazine, or I would just do a Google search. That's what I would do. Make a list, drive around, talk with as many activities directors as I can. Leave your number. You don't even need business cards. You just leave your number on a sticky note. Business cards look good. Yeah, they'll make you look good, but sticky notes work too. This is if you're just starting out. And then I would follow up with those numbers that I got. I would get business cards for activities directors, even if I don't speak with them. If I speak with them directly, I would make a connection with them. I would have a conversation and be friendly and talk about how much you love entertaining seniors, and then follow up. Every part of you, they'll forget who you are in a month. Call them once a month until the end of time. The reason the reason that I do that is because some places they might appreciate your follow-up. In fact, I think most of them do appreciate your follow-up. They might not be ready to book you yet because they might not trust you. They might have forgotten about you, and don't take it personally. That's a sales skill. It's follow-up. They say the money is made in the follow-up. So if you want to book retirement community gigs and you're doing the cold calling method, which is the second method on the retirement community gig, the cold calling method, if you're using that, you just need to keep following up every month. And here's another pro tip, you guys. If you're a musician or an entertainer watching this and you want to book at retirement community gigs, another pro tip, you got to play at the beginning, or not play, you have to call at the beginning of the month. The beginning of the month, the first 2 weeks. The reason that you have to book these gigs the first 2 weeks is because that's the cadence that activities directors operate on. Teyamo said hi. Hey, thank you for joining. I can read your name now. I couldn't because I was driving. I love YouTube, by the way. YouTube lets me stream and drive at the same time, and I appreciate them treating me like an adult. Anyways, okay, so here's that tip. Book at the beginning of the month, the first 2 weeks, because usually 90, well, maybe 85% of activities directors have a due date for their calendar for the next month. So in other words, right now it's October. So for the next 2 weeks, I'm going to be booking November. But after October 14th or 15th, sometimes they'll push it to the 17th or 18th. But after that, a lot of these retirement communities, these activities directors have their calendar due. So they have to put it in stone, and they can't book you unless 15% of the time, unless a couple things happen. They're slacking, their administrator is slacking, and by that I mean they're just not really that precise. They don't care. It's not a big deal to them, and that's okay with me. I mean, I don't care, but I just know that I work with activities directors, and if an activities director has a calendar due, most of the time I'm going to get my booking done by then. But sometimes, maybe 15% of the time, I'll get gigs after that. So that's cool. So we've talked about the two booking methods so far, and I'm getting close to home, so I'm going to share one more booking method with y'all. This other method, it does cost a little bit of money. It costs a little bit of money, so it's not the best strategy just starting out, but if you have some money to put towards it, like maybe you're a professional who's retiring and you want to book these gigs. Maybe you're a piano player who wants some easy day gigs that are emotionally rewarding, that pay good money in retirement, and you don't want to exceed that what is it, that $1,950 threshold, I think it is, for Social Security. I'm not exactly sure, but these gigs, they pay about $150 each. You could even charge more in more populous areas, but here is the tip. You send out some postcards with a discount, say a first-time discount. Say, hey, usually I charge $175, but I have a $75 off discount for the first performance, so it's less risk to you. And what's great what's great about postcards is that once you send them, people will call you. So it's advertising, essentially. And people will call you for gigs. But it still needs to be combined with the cold calling method as well. Cold calling is, I think, it's the only method that I use today. I may do another postcard campaign because sometimes it's good to hit them from different angles, but this seems to be working really well, the cold calling method. I mean, I'm booking a lot of shows, you guys. I'm so busy that I'm in the process of figuring out how to create a booking agency so that I can send musicians gigs that I can't play. And I do that. Not at scale, but I'm actually kind of working on that. That's my next frontier, figuring out how to do that at scale and send musicians gigs. So those are the three methods, you guys. Those are the three methods. You have the cold calling method, which is the one that I use today. But if I was just starting out, when I started out, I did three methods: the drop-in method, and also the postcard method. Oh, I got a question. Teyamo, thank you so much for the comment. I am just pulling up to a red light, so I'm going to be able to actually read this and respond. I'm so excited. This is very exciting. Okay. What about offering one free gig to see if it's a mutual fit? Would that seem too amateurish? In my opinion, and I mean no offense, but yes. The reason is because a professional that values their time will not play a whole gig for free. That's why I like the drop-in method so much, is because you do an instant audition. After about 3 songs for free, then I cut it off. I say, hey, I wish I could stay, but I have some other things that I need to do today because I usually do. Or another reason that I don't recommend doing a full show for free, Teyamo, is because if you do a full show for free, then that's the expectation that you're setting. If there's no money that's changed hands, you don't know if they have a budget even. So in a way, you're not qualifying them as buyers yet. Now I know that sounds kind of salesy, and it is, but it's the music business, and one must sell their services. So I don't recommend doing a full gig for free. Stop in randomly, do a bunch of them in one day, just drop in randomly, or you can set you can set a date to do it and put it on the schedule, but then play 15 minutes or so, or three songs even 10 minutes max. That's what I'm comfortable doing. Now there's nothing wrong with volunteering, by the way, if you don't need the money, or if you just want practice, you're not sure if you're good enough. Volunteering is great. I mean, that's a great way to do good in the world. But if you want to get paid, then giving your services away for free is not recommended. What I do is I do a first time discount, so it's less risk to them, but there's still some money. And then if they want to hire me for the next gig and I do a good job, then I'll charge them full price, or I'll even give them a second time discount. But yeah, that's a great question. That's a great question, Teyama. Hey, if you guys haven't gotten my blueprint yet, be sure to get it at retirementcommunitygigs.com. Thanks for tuning in, and follow me on TikTok, Tim the Piano Man. That's where I'm live streaming all my shows, because YouTube is not being very nice to me when it comes to the viewership for some reason. I don't know why, but it brought me you guys today, so I'm grateful. Thanks. See you in the next one. Bye bye.